Hi, thank you for watching AMA videos. This video is an interview with Girma Seid. Girma is an African man who works with young African men in western suburbs of Melbourne. The type of young people that Girma works with are those who are experiencing difficulties engaging with the education system, the employment, and a variety of other settings. And he tries to help them to reconnect and strive for their best to achieve their maximum potential in Australia. We spoke with Guillermo for about 10-15 minutes, and he shared with us his very interesting insight regarding the ways we should not only understand the issues affecting this specific group of the African Australian population, but also how we can work together with them to help them achieve their best in Australia. I hope you enjoy the video, and I'll see you on the other side of it. Welcome to Africa Media Australia. Clyde Salumo Sharady here. I have with me today Mr. Girma Seid. Did I get your name right?
That's right.
Thanks, man. How are you today?
I'm very fine. How are you today?
Good, thanks. We're happy to have you here at Africa Media Australia.
It's a pleasure to be here.
All right. Well, we've got a very usual question we ask everyone who comes here first time. Tell us a bit more about yourself.
Well, you know my name. My name is Guillermo. I came to Australia about 15 years ago now.
Yep.
I came through the refugee resettlement program.
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. How did you find Australia when you got in?
Look, the first place that I was resettled was actually in the Northern Territory, in
Darwin.
Yeah.
Wow.
Not necessarily my choice, but you know, it's the resettlement program. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was not worried about the place where I had to stay or where I had to live, because the most important thing for me and my family was actually to make it here.
What have you been doing ever since?
Look, I already had a plan when I arrived here, what I'm going to do.
Yeah.
So the first thing that I actually did was just pursue my studies. So I enrolled myself to further and develop my studies at the uni.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Cool. All right, I understand you work with youth. That's the job you're doing now. You've been doing it for quite a few years. Tell us a bit more about that.
Yeah, and I'm a project officer. I work with the Center for Multicultural Youth, which is an organization that works with young people from migrant and refugee backgrounds. So I'm coordinating a project that actually targets particularly young men from African background, and specifically those who are disengaged from education, employment, that sort of thing, and might have some resettlement problems and some justice issues. So initially it started in 2009 as a pilot project. It was actually it aimed actually to identify what are the issues for these young African men who are disengaged and what sort of service response is required. So we start doing that, and that's what I'm doing still now.
When you speak with anyone who knows a little bit about issues with African youth, especially in the Western, your name comes up as the man to talk about. To talk to.
Well, that's too much to take, but I'll take it as a compliment.
Tell us, what are some of the issues that have been happening with this man, with the African youth in the West?
Look, that's really a very good question. When we first start working on this project, we just decided to go and meet the young people themselves. So, because they are the owner of their story or their difficulties. So you have to get the real information from the people who are affected by those issues. It was not easy to start with, because we have to do an assertive outreach, go to the places where congregate and where they hang out the most, and try to be friendly and try to find out exactly. Initially, it was really hard because they've already lost that trust, they've lost that confidence. It's only within that little circle that they support each other and they bond to each other.
That's right.
So it took us quite considerable time, probably between 6 to 9 months.
To penetrate.
To develop, to go through the safety net,
yes,
and to develop that trust and relationship. So that's where we spend most of our time.
Yes.
But it's amazingly, for all of us looking at from outside, we tend to judge without knowing what they are going through. When you sit with them and listen to them, what they have to say, that is when you really start to understand what drove them or what pushed them to be in that situation. So it is not one particular issue, it's not one particular factor. There are a number of
combination of them.
A combination of factors.
But what are the main ones?
Look, to start with, it's the resettlement experience, all right?
Yeah.
let's not forget, as an African, when we see the picture of Australia, it's a place to live. Of course it is, but we don't, sometimes that realistic expectation is not there. We don't actually take time to think about the difficulties, the challenges that we have to go through to get where we want to be. So we come with that strong ambition. If things are not working the way we expected, that's where we start, hitting the ground. And that's exactly happened with these young boys. These young boys, when they come here, they have a very strong ambition to pursue their education, to go to university, to be qualified, and to get a good job. But most of them, they have spent their life in refugee camps where there was no proper education, so they spent their childhood without, the foundation.
The foundations have not been laid.
So when they come here, they'll be given a short period of time English education, and then they'll be going to mainstream education, which is according to their age, not according to their knowledge.
Yes.
So if a young person comes here when they are 14 or 15, and they study English for 1 year, they'll be 16, the equivalent is year 10. Without having 10 years of education, putting someone in year 10, and expect them to finish high school and pursue university education, to be honest, it's unrealistic.
It's like a mountain to climb.
Well, sometimes it might be easy to climb a mountain because it takes you time, but you'll get there. But with this one, it's just, it's
quite hard.
So look, that's one. And the other thing is, they're really, really struggling to adapt to the new society.
Yeah.
Let's not forget. Let's not look at them as an Africans or refugee backgrounds. Let's just look at them as a young person. Any young person, black and white, whatever it is, there is an age where they are very curious to know about the things around them. These young people, they're no different. They're in a new country, in a new society, in a new system. So no one appreciates the struggle or the challenges they have balancing two cultures, trying to maintain their cultures. Don't forget the pressure from their parents or the community. And at the same time, to adapt to the new society. Don't forget the pressure within the school and within their friends. So, there is a place where they will get lost.
So
that's when they hit the rock. Yeah.
There's those set of challenges that every teenager sort of comes across, and then there's a cultural clash, the whole resettlement process. Quite a lot of challenges for them.
It's a combination of challenges. Yeah.
So it is actually sort of a miracle that most of them do actually go through that, even though some fall through the cracks.
Because don't forget that we all have a different level of resilience.
Yes.
You might be stronger than I am.
Yes.
And I might not be strong as you. You could make it through, but it might take me a while. We don't realize that. We ask ourselves and we say, how come this one made it this far and this one couldn't? We are human beings. We are not meant to be the same. It's not different with these young people.
Okay, so education, cultural clash, and
lack of employment. Some of them, they want to do probably part-time, or they just like probably the education is not working for me. I better get a job. They try to find a job. The job is not there.
Why aren't they getting a job?
Look, one thing that it's not only with these young people. It would have happened to you, but it has happened to me. When I first started looking for a job while I was studying at the uni, every place I was asked was an experience in Australia. Just came to Australia, how can you get an experience in Australia without being given the chance?
At least to start from somewhere.
Exactly. So for most of them, I think that was the challenge. That was the challenge. The other thing is, we need to spend a lot of time. Look, for some of us, probably we came that language skill. Probably it's not as hard as it is for them because we've got the language skill. But let's not forget, all these ones, they were not speaking the language properly, probably. So that's another thing, the language challenge. So look, you can list all the factors.
They're juggling with like 100 things.
They're lost in a sense, They're lost in a sense, yeah.
All right. Well, those are the issues. But suppose for 1 minute that you have all the money that you needed to help these young men. What would you do?
Let me be honest with you, Clyde. You need a resource or the money to do something.
Yes.
But that's not the most important thing. That's the secondary thing. The first most important thing is, do we have the genuine commitment? What purpose do we want to achieve? It's not about inventing new wheels. It's about harnessing the resources that you have. Yes. But for me, it's not the resource that is important. It is our commitment and that collaboration approach. If we collaborate and we put all our resources together for a common goal, I think we can do it.
But then what specifically, more practically, what are the steps that you think should be taken to best assist these young men within the African Australian communities who are having difficulties?
All right. Look, let me start by saying that I'm a strong believer of youth participation. All right. In the past, as service providers or probably government or non-government organizations, when they come up with some sort of program for young people, young people are not part of that. All right. If the beneficiaries, all right, if that is aimed to young people need to have a voice in the planning and the decision-making process. Because unless we involve them, we cannot actually do something on their behalf. Most of the time, we do pre-tailored services based on our assumption, saying that this is probably what they need. So what I'll strongly say is actually, can we make these young people part of the planning and the decision-making process? Let them have a voice. They have to, be given a chance to participate in, identifying issues that affects their lives. Without involving them, we're not getting anywhere.
The solutions, for instance, in terms of education, you mentioned the issues there with education. How do you even begin to solve that where they've got no foundation and they push through the system? Yeah. How do you actually get to solve that?
That's a very, very good point. Thank you for raising it. Let me start by saying that, Australian experience with Africans is just new. Okay, it's just in the last 20 years probably. That's too much, isn't it? Yeah. Probably less than 20 years. So within 20 years, was Australia prepared to accommodate the need of African refugees or people coming from African backgrounds? We have a lot of history of different nationalities coming to this country. So Australia has learned a lot from those nationalities. I would say we are still in the learning process to respond to the need of Africans. I'm not saying that if someone comes here when they are 16 years old, instead of taking them year 10, let's start from year 1. I'm not suggesting that, but what I'm trying to say is there has to be some sort of customized support to the education. There is also an involvement of communities and families. As an Africans, I'm not, I can't generalize, but the society where I came from, the only option that you had is when I was, at school, in high school, you finish the high school, you go to university, you become a doctor, engineer, or someone, then you become a man. You know why? Because we didn't have the option that they have here. So if they're 16, 17, and if they can't do it, it's not about the education. There are other areas. They're TAFE, all right? There are other things that they can pursue. And parents need to be informed about this. Parents need to have that information. Because the parents do not have those knowledge. So it is not only the education, but there are other paths that they can follow. There are other career paths. So they can be encouraged to do that if they cannot make it.
All right. So I guess you calling for involvement both on the education level, the family, and service providers, and all that. Yeah. Then it becomes just too complex as an equation to solve.
No, I don't think. When I say the involvement, look, most of the time when we work with young people, we forget to involve families and communities. Yeah. You can't work with young people in isolation.
That's right.
Without involving the families and communities. Yes. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
All right? So let's get the families and communities have a say and let them be informed. All right?
So there's quite a lot of gaps in the community, which means a more calibrated approach in working with young people, resources, and communities are quite important.
Exactly.
But communities do not always have the resources to assist. I remember in my experience as a community leader for the Congolese, there were a lot of issues that I would have wanted to help young people. But then I've got so many of other things. I've got my own life and my own family, and I'm already giving so much time for community-related issues. But there's still quite a lot of demand, but the community, the organization itself doesn't get anywhere near enough money to kind of say maybe I could take a day off and do that. I have to do it on my own day. So in other countries such as Canada, I think there's a different approach where communities are given the resources to deal with issues. Would you recommend such an approach here?
Oh, look, definitely. I agree with that. I'm not saying that the communities have to play it all, but at the same time, there has to be communities' involvement. When I say communities' involvement, let's talk about the young people, like the young people that we mentioned. Yeah. No matter how much we try to work with these young people, if they don't have that feeling of being accepted by their communities, no matter how much you try, that's one of the challenges that we have. Yeah. Because where are the communities? Like we're talking about African communities, where are we? Where are we? What have we done? What have we tried to do together? There's nothing that we've done, to be honest with you. we have to make sure that we step forward, and it's our responsibility to guide and nurture these young people. Look, me and you tomorrow, we are not the leaders. These young people are the leaders. All right? We have to nurture them. So when we talk about community, where are the communities? Okay? What have we tried to do? Well, you tried, you said, in your Congolese community.
That's right.
But as an African,
Yeah.
what have we tried to do?
Well, that's another call for community to be more involved. I guess we're trying as part of African Media Australia to raise these issues, and we've got an upcoming forum that we're doing to trying to bring the community together to have a conversation about not just the issues but the solutions and how we walk through that process together with the young people themselves, the service providers and all that. What would be your last message to the wider community as well as to the youth, because you're more sort of a youth person? What would be your last message?
Look, as a father of a teenager, I will always encourage for the young people to come forward and be part of, issues that affect their life. All right? Don't have to always expect elders or parents to pave the path for you. You have to be part of it. Come forward, we'll support you. You're the leaders of tomorrow. And for the general community, please, let's give them love. That's what they want. Let's give them love. Let's try to support them. Let's understand what they are going through. All right, they are juggling between two cultures. Let's understand that, and let's try to be supportive. So for the whole of African community, it is time that we have to come together and try to work together. We don't have to sit in isolation and ask people question how this can be done. We have been the subject of discussion for many years. I think it's time that we have to come forward and try to, be part of the issues that affect our life. So I hope if we work together, supporting with the service providers, with organizations or government or non-government, if we are forward and try to work together, I don't think it's a very complicated issue. Probably we'll get a solution to it.
All right, Guillermo, I know I would really want to continue to speak with you, but we haven't got all the time of the world. So I want to say thank you for coming to African Media Australia. We've started a conversation. We have to continue that conversation, and I hope to see you again sometime soon to keep that conversation on the table.
Definitely, Clyde. I really appreciate that. Honored to be here.
Yeah.
And I would like to say that please keep on the job that you are doing. Media is one of the things that we lack to express who we are, what we are. And thanks for having me here.
Thanks, man.
Thanks very much.
Thank you for watching the video. I hope you have enjoyed it. We continue to put a focus here at AMA on issues affecting our young people. We know that they are the future of the African Australian community in Australia here, and that they can contribute to making Australia better. They can contribute to advancing this society. Therefore, we put a specific focus on young people, and there's a lot more that we'll continue to offer. As usual, please send us your feedback. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. And if you want to contribute to AMA, that'll be really appreciated. We do need some donations. We are a not-for-profit organization. We rely on donations to continue to operate. So don't forget, there's a donate button on our website